At first, the soldier's knocking on the cabin door wasn't too forceful.
Bright and Gale, I know you're in there. I just want to talk.
The soldier stood there for a moment. He tapped the side of his helmet, eventually finding the right button. The display lit up like a flash of light, seen only behind the dark metallic forepart of the helmet that obscured his face. An orange-colored interface appeared in front of his eyes, which wandered over to the leftmost part of the display. -8 degrees Celsius, 16 degrees Fahrenheit. It was better than usual, at least. Not that it would make the snowstorm around him go away anytime soon.
Y'all ain't got no jurisdiction here. This is America, goddammit!
Brighton's twangy voice seemed weak. The soldier could tell even behind wooden walls. He fed him a line that the soldier had heard plenty of times before. It didn't bother him as much as it used to. It'd be downright childish of him if it still did. The only thing he could do now was explain why he was at Brighton's cabin.
Listen, we just want the stash. The dead guy's stuff, if you will.
He could hear a brief cackle from inside the cabin. Brighton had such an ugly laugh.
Y'all want the dog tags, is what you want.
Brighton wasn't exactly wrong. Those dog tags were the main reason the soldier had come to the cabin. He sighed. He didn't want to be here.
Yes, that's what we want. And you know where this stash is?
I sure do.
There was a brief moment of silence. The soldier waited for Brighton to finish the rest of his statement, then realized there wasn't anything else coming.
Great. Is this something you could share with me?
Well, how about I just show you?
The long, drawn-out wail grated on the soldier's ears. At least he wouldn't have to be around Brighton for too long.
I'm feeling pretty generous today, so I might as well lead you to it.
The cabin door slowly opened in front of the soldier. Peering inside, he could immediately see the distasteful state that the interior of the cabin was in. On the left-hand side were a couple of wooden counters with junk strewn about their surfaces. Knocked over coffee pots, old canned goods, the works. The counters were connected to a small kitchenette, which probably hadn't been cleaned in years. The bed at the back of the cabin had an immediately noticeable black stain on its sheets. Brighton himself didn't look much better. His thin black hair had recently been cut, but not washed. His eyes were bloodshot, and there were black marks rubbed across his cheekbones. He was wearing a jacket, blue, heavy-duty, but clearly about a size too small for him. Black cargo pants were below that, with white splotches around the knees. The fur of his boots was almost gone.
Where's the we?
The soldier's attention drifted back to Brighton's face, but was quickly confused once he processed his question.
What do you mean, we?
You said we. Where's the rest of y'all? Or is it just you out here?
It's just me. I'm on orders to retrieve Corporal Deb's belongings.
Debs? That was his name?
Brighton let out a small chuckle. The smile that went along with it exposed his rotting yellow teeth.
Yes, Deb's.
Come with me. I'll show you where his stuff's at, Tin Can.
A classic. Similarly, the soldier deployed the line he always used in response to jabs like that being directed towards them.
I'll take that as a compliment.
The soldier stepped out of the way to allow Brighton to make his way down the steps, onto the white, crunchy ground. Brighton took a right, beginning to walk behind the cabin as the soldier followed. A black trucker's cap and a shovel sat on a crate about as wide as half the cabin, both of which Brighton took. They continued to walk forward, a haze of white partly concealing the way forward.
Don't worry. I know where I'm going.
Normally, this would not inspire any sort of confidence in the soldier, but something told him that Brighton was telling the truth, that he knew exactly where this stash was. The soldier attempted to make small talk, unsure of how much walking they had ahead of them.
Where's Jules?
Passed about a week ago. Best hunting dog I ever did have. You must have heard stories about him.
Yeah.
What's your name, anyhow? Y'all even have names? Or is it just numbers y'all get?
His name? The soldier didn't often get that question. Perhaps it was the disconnect with his uniform, because the helmet hid his face. He figured he would always come across as impersonal, robotic. Yet Brighton Gale was asking for his name.
Henry. My name's Henry Gresson. CAA 013-891.
Ah, so you got both. You know, I had a cousin named Henry.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, one of your boys killed him.
Henry's heart sunk to his boots. Bad topic of conversation. They kept walking, but any eye contact, or as close as they could get to it, considering the issue of the helmet, was quickly cut off once Brighton brought up his cousin's death at the hands of the military. A foreign military at that.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Nah, you ain't sorry.
Henry wasn't quite sure how to respond to that, so he opted not to say anything at all. The rest of the trip was awkwardly silent, aside from the passing breeze and the crunch, crunch, crunch of the snow below them. Before long, Brighton stopped at a large dead tree. Next to it was a chunk of gray PVC pipe sticking out of the ground.
I buried his stuff under the tree, right next to the grave there. And just to be clear, Henry, I didn't kill him. They just took him to me to bury.
We know. We're fairly confident in how he died.
His eyes were fixated on the pipe, acting as a grave marker.
I'll dig up this stuff for you.
Brighton stepped closer to the tree as he forced the shovel into the ground. Snow was thrown onto the side, again and again, eventually breaking into the earth where the stash was hidden. Henry stood still beside him, quietly, looking at the poorly marked grave.
Did you know him?
Yeah, I did.
Carefully, Henry's hands moved towards his helmet. After pushing the button on the left side of the device, Henry gave a bit of a push, causing the clunky manufactured helmet to slowly slide off his head. His long blonde hair immediately blew in the wind, though nothing else moved as the helmet took a place under his arm. Henry saw it as a matter of respect, to take his helmet off when confronted with a dead comrade. Even if it was cold as the helmet's display said, it didn't stop him from honoring a fellow soldier in his own way.
Got it.
Setting his helmet down in the snow, Henry moved towards the tree, now with a hole in front of it. Brighton stepped out of his way, positioning himself behind the mourning soldier and stuffing his hands into his jacket pockets. Looking down, Henry could see everything that Corporal Debs would have carried. His standard issue, a backpack, a canteen, and of course, the dog tags, sitting on top of the pile. Henry bent down on one knee to pick up the tags. There it was, that familiar cheapskate steel, trying so hard not to wear. The last few decades had been hard, but was it so difficult to make some good ones for all the new soldiers? Oh well, too late for that now. Still with his head down and running a hand across the tag, feeling just how cold it was, Henry started to think out loud.
Why was he not buried with all his stuff? Especially the tags.
He cocked his head back to look at Brighton. Instead, he froze up. He was staring at the barrel of a revolver. Brighton's horrid yellow teeth smiled again.
I'm making a collection, Henry.